The curiosity to enlarge the misleading narrative structure of the cinema has always been one of the driving forces of this communicative language since its origins. There are many examples of integration between live-action and imaginary worlds inside the history of the cinema. The first experiment of integration was realized by James Stewart Blackton in 1900 with a short film entitled The Enchanted Drawing. In this film, the director interacts with a portrait using a stop-motion technique. The object is moved in small increments between individually photographed frames, creating an illusion of movement when the series of frames is played as continuous sequence. Some years later, Max Fleischer, with his short series of film Out of the Inkwell, used for the first time the rotoscopic technique, which was made up by himself and gives the opportunity to animate the main characters, drawing frame by frame in the film. However, the revolutionary technology was the screen vapor process, introduced by the Disney's film like Mary Poppins, Bagnoot and Broomsticks, and Peace Dragon. The procedure consists in positioning the scene object and the actor in front of a white screen illuminated by a sodium vapor lamp, and in filming with a movie camera and Technicolor. This camera records everything at the same time on two films, and thanks to a prism which isolates the yellow effect due to the sodium vapor lamp, it's possible to have two different films, one with the scene without the background, and one with the background and the template of the object and the characters in the scene.
You had plenty money 1920.
Other improvement arrived with the film Who Framed Roger Rabbit, directed by Robert Zemeckis in 1988, where integration was improved with industrial light and magic support.
Predates the computer era with round characters, and so the effects department would have to draw highlights and shadows, and each one of those levels would have to be then shot individually under the camera. So the animation cameraman would shoot Roger Rabbit all alone, Roger Rabbit as a matte where they're backlighting him, Roger Rabbit's highlights, and Roger Rabbit's shadows. And those four pieces of film then would go to ILM, and using their optical printers, they would composite it then with the live-action plates.
Mannequins and robotic arms were commonly used during filming to help the actors interact with open air. Post-production lasted about a year, in which 82,000 frames were animated by the animators. During the 90s, there was a fundamental innovation, the introduction of the computer-generated imagery, enforced on the world with the movie Jurassic Park, where dinosaurs are both animatronic and CGI models. Production uses CG for velociraptors, brachiosaurus and T-Rex, which were drawn and realized as the rubber models. Next, they scanned models to reconstruct the data to make it work into the computer. After that, the data has to be rigged with a digital armature. The dinosaurs get their skin and are composited in the scene. 90s cinema has made a large use of CGI special effects. In fact, if CGI was used in only 40 shots during Jurassic Park, the 1995 film Casper required about 400 CGI sequences.
Prop is generally a computer graphics prop, and they are basically indistinguishable from real props. And there are shots, in fact, where they switch from a actual prop that was shot in the live action scene to a computer graphic rendered 3D element.
Casper is considered the first movie in which CGI characters interact realistically with live actors. Nowadays, with major advances in technology, creators can go a little too far with a CGI masterpiece, the virtual actor Gollum in The Lord of the Rings, the first photorealistic motion captured character. To create Gollum, the actor Andy Serkis had to wear a kind of costume which was a tight grey unitary and small sensors all over his body and face. The sensors will capture his body movements and facial expression, and this allowed the computer to create a replicate 3D model of movements. So, the creation of the physical appearance can begin. The use of computer graphics seems to have conquered a well-defined area in the cinematographic ambient. There are less films that don't use this kind of technique and make the animation closer and closer to the reality. Talking about this subject, we can mention a film that will be published in the summer of 2016, a full-length film that we have already found, Peace Dragon. In this remake, it's easy to find the difference between the two versions. Now the Dragon Elliot is a 3D model and no more a cartoon. Anyway, will it be possible to find the magic atmosphere that characterized the past? We will discover it.